This episode is brought to you by our friends at Bubba Coos Burritos.
Bubba Coos, the place for the family. Go get a great meal, chill, kick it. Always Bubba Coos, place to go to.
Real show, here we go. Real show, here we go. You know that it's gotta be that time, so this is what we chant. What keeps on getting them all amped in advance? Come on. You and I rocking out with Iron Man, F.E. You get the general's point of view on top of Roger's rants. Whenever tapping out, we're putting the most minutes in. You already know what that's about, you know that winners win. Crush whatever's on task, check the podcast. It's the champ and the tramp, let the bomb blast.
I'm not tech savvy at all.
All right, go ahead, Raj.
Kick it off, buddy. You got it. You got it.
All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? Another episode of Champ and Tramp. We have special guests Mike Crispi and Ashley Palmieri.
Lamb.
I'm sorry, Ashley Lamb. Okay. Formerly
Palmieri, yes.
Palmieri.
Currently Lamb.
Okay, currently Lamb. Chris, you're running for our district of District 4, Congressional District 4. Ashley, you're running for Ward.
County Commissioner. Which used to be called Freeholder. But Governor Murphy said that's a racist term and we're not allowed to say it anymore.
Yeah. Walk me through that.
Really?
Why?
Are you serious about that? Wow.
Because the term freeholder is
like
it's an old term that means somebody was allowed to own land and vote. And at some point in history, not everybody was allowed to do that. So if we say that now, we're racist.
God.
That's cool.
So now they're called the Board of County Commissioners.
Then they spent like hundreds of thousands of tax dollars to figure that out.
Yeah, to
study. Yeah.
Like I'm sure all the money to change the placards.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Well, okay, yeah. So you guys are definitely aligned with what's the ballot on the side or the line? You're going to be column A.
Column
A.
America
yes.
First.
America First Republicans. Column A.
I love the sound of that.
June 7th. Get out. Vote.
Right, so now you're running against Chris Smith, who is the incumbent of 42 years.
Yeah, 42 years since Jimmy Carter was the president, right? So Jimmy Carter was the outgoing president, and this guy was getting sworn in at that time, and he's been in ever since. He worked at a sporting goods store. He became the congressman out of a fluke because his opponent was indicted for the Abscam scandal. So he just kind of fell into Congress, and he has clawed onto that, and he's not giving it up. He doesn't want to give up that seat. So 42 years, hasn't gotten much done, and he's fighting for his life right now. It's amazing. I'm like, dude, why don't you just retire? You've had a good run.
Right, yeah.
42 years of bad experience.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're up for a debate. He doesn't seem like he wants to debate you, right?
No, I mean, he sends like these little minions out there, like the Capitol Hill staffers. He sends them out. They go to the meeting. They yip, 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 like a little dog. But he doesn't want to debate, and he doesn't respond. But I would love to because he keeps calling me a liar. It's like, dude, just show up. Right. I'd love to debate you. Like, and you have 42 years of me. You should be able to destroy me.
Absolutely.
You kick my ass. You have 42 years of experience, and then I'll be humiliated, right? Wouldn't that be what he should do? But no, he won't do it.
There was nothing to hide.
I'm dying for it. Come on, man.
Not only that, you've actually attended some of his speaking venues, and you got booted out of one. I understand, correct? They booted you up. You weren't disruptive at all.
Listen, I could have shouted him down. He's up there. The first time I ever met him in person, people are like, "Oh, Mike, you got to stop underestimating this guy. He's a congressman, Yeah. But the thing is that none of these politicians are really that impressive when you meet them in real life, right? Before I was doing this, I was in broadcast. I met all these people. Oh, they're on TV. Oh, they're famous. Or all this. They're all, somebody else's master, and they're all paid off and that.
Sure.
So none of them are overly impressive. And Chris Smith is one of those people. So the first time I ever met him was in Monmouth County at the convention. And this guy reads a speech off of a piece of paper. He's staring down at the paper like 6 inches from his nose the whole time. And I'm like, what a loser. And then the second time I'm in Lacey, and he's giving some speech, rambling on about, how he did some good work for some human rights thing in some third world country no one's ever heard of. Like, no one gives a shit, dude. Like, America's got problems. He's giving this rambling speech. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, he's right here. I can say whatever I want. I can hit him. But I didn't do it, and I waited. And then at the end, I started passing out, my literature and talking to the voters, and it's Lacey, it's super Republican, and they're like, oh, we're with you, Crispi. And then the guy who runs that group came up to me. He was like, you can't do this here. Mm-hmm. You can't hand out the literature. You're saying bad things about Smith. And I said, dude, his voting record is on the sheet. You must think he's as bad as I think he is.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
But then he just, had like a fit, and then he, ripped the papers out of my hand. And if I was Frankie, I would have decked him. But he would have been easy though. He would have went down so easy. But and then I left. So yeah, they're afraid. They don't want the truth. This is.
Well, why aren't there debates? Like, why isn't that part of the process? It should be part of the process. No,
it really should be. I mean, they should. We've Bill Spadia on NJ 105 has offered 2 debates.
New Jersey's top morning host.
Top morning host. Yep. He supports our campaign
all the time.
So he supports us. He's calling for it. It's like, dude, that's an audience of 1 million people. Chris Smith, you want to save some money, be a conservative on your campaign budget? You reach 1 million people kicking Crispy's ass on the air, right? No, he doesn't want to do it because he'd be the other way around. So he's just running hiding. He's sending out the giant mailers that have everything but
I got that.
Everything but his stance on like Trump issues and everything but Mike Crispi. And his plan is to just run out the clock. He's never, think about it, 42 years he's done this job. He's never been challenged for it. 42 years. Never. So he doesn't know what to do.
Well, you're certainly knocking on his door. So yeah, we definitely align with a lot of your ways of thinking. I've done some research on you, listened to some of your stuff, man. I'm praying that you get in there. What, June 7th?
June 7th.
Roger's got a little man crush.
I'm gonna.
I know. Listen,
I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna vote at my senior center because I'm a senior.
That's right.
The guy is based. I love it. You know, that's the term, based, right?
Yeah.
So you
What
got
does that mean, based?
Based just means like you're an unapologetic, like fuck you Republican.
Absolutely.
You know, yeah. You can curse in the show.
Yeah, of course.
No, this is good.
We encourage it.
This is podcasting, Ashley. This is how it is. You know, so yeah. I mean, you're just unapologetic with it, and that's what people want. You know, they want to hear they want to hear forceful talk. They want to hear candor.
That's really how Trump got in there. You know, he just said the things that people were scared to say, and he got in there on that platform. You know, but are you concerned with censorship? Obviously, you've already been censored on YouTube. I understand, right?
Oh, are
you concerned with that because you don't fit the status quo that they're going to quell
he was
you?
censored when he got thrown out of that club.
Yeah.
I get censored in real life. I get censored on the internet. No, I used to have on my podcast. I used to have hundreds of thousands of people watching and listening every month. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you'd have like 300,000 people tuning in. And then all of a sudden they zap you from Facebook and YouTube. Right. And you go from hundreds of thousands to 5,000.
Isn't that insane?
Just overnight. They snapped their fingers and they said, oh, it's misinformation. Right. It's you're not allowed to mention anything about an audit or not allowed to mention anything about, election integrity or just like talking about it for more than a minute and they zap you. So happens everywhere.
The one says YouTube is pretty much the one zapping a lot of people, right?
And TikTok.
And YouTube is or podcast. That's I'm saying platform for podcasts. It's mostly on YouTube. Yeah. I'm saying but you see what Rogan did going to Spotify, and he is able to get away with a lot more shit. Obviously he has a lot of different guests and the stuff he spits and all that. He had some heat. He gets some heat, but he still comes out with it. How come more people aren't going to Spotify?
Well, you could probably speak to this. You've done a show. You know, Joe. Wasn't a lot of his conservative-based podcast removed, taken off?
They were, but I don't know if that was like a lost in translation type of thing. But
why would it just be conservatives though that were?
It wasn't only. It wasn't only. Honestly, it wasn't only. But but still, look at everybody's had on the past fucking this 2 years.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Rogan. Rogan went to Spotify. The thing is, there's so many podcasters out there, right? So like the video element helps when you can show that, obviously. Yeah. So if you're trying to up and come, you want to go to all the platforms. Try to grow,
right.
And then nowadays, like back in the day, people like Dave Portnoy at Barstool would have been nothing if this was in today's age because they just get censored off, like he starts to grow, they cut you. Right. It happens on TikTok, it happens on YouTube, it happens on Facebook. They just cut you when you start to grow. They let you go,
they don't want
and
you
they
to,
cut.
They don't want you to compete. Eventually, you're going to be competing with them, correct?
Yeah, and you can make rules. Oh, I'm not going to talk about this. I'm not going to talk about that. But they'll kick you off if you're conservative. I mean, it's a fact.
The bigger issue, though, we deal with censorship literally on a daily basis in our own towns and our own counties.
Yeah, that's
what I'm saying.
That's a problem because
like someone was saying even the student in college, right? Because obviously that's like an indoctrination center, right? But there are some kids that go in thinking conservative minded, and they go in there and they say they come out with a conservative paper or a conservative idea. They get fucking shot down by their liberal teacher, and they might not even get a degree, and then they don't advance. So it's like everybody advancing in our society are not going to be people that align with us, and that's fucking scary.
Well, the problem is that they fix everything. You talk about election security. So I don't know. Have you guys seen the movie 2000 Mules?
No.
We had a showing of it. We're showing it again this Friday. and it's all about the way that the election was stolen and how they paid for ballot harvesting, and they had these mules that were dropping ballots in drop boxes, and they proved. Dinesh D'Souza has proved that the election was stolen.
Cameras on a lot of those
There
boxes,
was.
right? Yeah.
But the bigger issue is that the people who are in power want to stay in power, and the way that they do it is by freezing everyone else out. So how he was booted out of that meeting, we are Republicans running on a Republican ticket in a Republican primary. So the primary is closed, which means you have to be affiliated with the Republican Party to vote in it, or you have to declare that day from being unaffiliated. You can't switch parties the day of. So they already try to make it it's a minimalist group that's allowed to vote in the primary. And then you would think, you guys live in Toms River. So if you lived in Toms River, Manchester, Brick, Lacey, doesn't matter where. If you want to know what's going on in the Republican Party, you would go to the Republican club meeting and you want to see what's going on, who's speaking, what's out there. But the clubs, because they're aligned with the GOP establishment in Ocean County, they will lose their designation. People that are members of the clubs, people that work in the towns, if they have a county job, they get threatened that they will lose their employment if they even allow us to speak. So we show up at a club meeting because, hey, here's a bunch of Republicans. We're Republicans too. In the primary, no matter who you vote for, you're voting for a Republican. But don't you deserve a choice?
Yeah, no.
You do. So you should hear from every Republican out there, what do you bring to the table?
True.
What are you willing to do for me? What kind of work are you going to put in? Where are you aligned? I'm running against a Republican woman who is pro-choice.
Yeah.
She sat on the board of family planning. She lobbied for money to get abortion done.
That's what I'm saying.
That's not conservative.
Historically, like, this district is always
Very
Republican.
Yeah,
conservative,
super
yes.
red. We're in Alabama, New Jersey.
But
I call it.
but is it really though? When I mean,
well,
here's
here's the
is thinking
thi-
that way.
This
right?
happens. This happens though. It's like childish. Like no one would expect adults to behave like this. You have adults. You can't be in our club. You know, like it is the most childish bullshit. But this is how grown people behave, and that's because like the person that Ashley's running against, I don't think she graduated high school. Okay, she's had town jobs because her family was involved. So this is all she has. Chris Smith, sporting goods store clerk. This is all he has. So these people get highly petty, highly childish, and they don't care. They'll shamelessly, you can't come in here. It's high school shit. Right. But this is what they do, and people don't realize that even in the Republican Party, it's not like they don't want to hear other Republicans because the people who control it, the swamp, right, that Trump kind of exposed. They're in on it, and they would love people not to pay attention.
Sure.
They like when people don't show up. They like when people don't pay attention. They don't want the fanfare. They don't want the people ranting and showing up at town halls. No. They don't want that because they're not in it for the people. They're in it so they can get their government contract, so they can be a developer on the side and get
Keep
paid
their
on
county
buildings.
job.
It's like all the so they get double dip and triple dip and make all this money, and that's what they want.
Don't you think since COVID, or because of COVID, I should say, that people do pay a lot more attention now? I certainly do.
I think they're paying
School
closer
board for
attention.
sure.
Yes.
I think parents are so much more because people were just like, send my kid to school. They're doing the right thing.
Indoctrination camp.
They're not doing the right thing.
Yeah,
No,
it's terrible.
I mean, I'm on the school board in Toms River, and I can tell you there's never been a more contentious time to be on a school board. And I'm kind of on the outs. Like I don't vote with the ranks. I mean, I voted the budget down recently because of the S2, which raises our taxes without any explanation from the state. It's a secret formula. We're not allowed to know, but it's our money, so we should know.
Right.
And I have residents coming up telling me, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. It's not, Toms River didn't raise their taxes. Toms River Township may not have raised their taxes, but Toms River Regional School District just raised them in 4 towns because of the Democratic leadership that we have in Trenton.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, people don't realize. They're paying attention, but they don't understand it.
Yeah, but paying attention is a good start. In these school board meetings, I went to the first one during this campaign. They're like raucous. They're like, you want to have a good time? You can go to a UFC, or you can go to a school board meeting. Because those people are brawling in there.
I know,
it's amazing.
Look at what the other side does. They try to label you as a terrorist if you speak up
Legitimately.
on behalf of your children and you become an advocate for your child. You're now a terrorist.
If
it's
you
insane.
talk about diversity, inclusion, critical race theory, health standards, sexual education, you say anything like that, immediately it's,
Yep.
Yeah, well, I've been to a couple.
You went to school board meetings?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
One Toms River. My kids are school. My kids are there, and you know what? I'm a concerned parent.
No, you should be. You should be.
Yeah, we went to we were protesting one day.
I think you were at the board meeting that I got thrown out of for refusing to wear a mask.
If they want,
that's what. They said you had to wear them. They're like, I'm like, oh, I ain't wearing one.
No.
I didn't wear one. They didn't say nothing.
Yeah,
But
they booted me out of that meeting, and I'm a board member.
If they want to put masks, like
pandemic that just disappeared overnight, that's the one you guys are talking about?
Yo, but listen, you know it's coming back.
I freak out about that.
Do you feel it's going to come back?
If you look at what's happening in New York City right now, I think they're trying.
They want to do mail-in ballots again.
That's true. And
for November,
if people are going to be sheepish enough to accept that, then society is lost. I mean, people
it might be.
never
It
can let it. People need to wake up. You're putting masks on healthy kids.
Yeah.
It is child abuse. It is disastrous what they're doing. And the parents out there just go, I'm just following the rules. So you're literally restricting your children's oxygen. They got dirt and grime in the mask, and you're going to accept that? If I was a parent right now, I'd be in jail because I would have knocked out somebody on the school board.
They don't work at all.
My kids didn't wear them this year.
Good.
You believe in the science, and the real science says that they're unhealthy for you.
Honestly.
And the people in charge that are telling your kids they must wear them aren't wearing them.
They're not wearing them.
They're videoed all over the place not wearing them.
And it's all about control and suppressing the vote. I mean, Mike Crispi's running in CD4. He was running against, there was, I don't know, like 6 people in the beginning, and then a couple of them were booted off the ballot because their petitions were fraudulent. So then it came down to one random person, Chris Smith, Mike Crispi, and then candidate Mike Blasey. So Mike Blasey wrote a letter. He suspended his campaign. He's no longer running.
Did the right thing.
He's not running, but the
wouldn't.
Ocean County clerk, I believe, right? They refused to pull him off of the ballot. So
Didn't want to take him off the ballot.
They want to diffuse the vote in any way they can. So
every little point they want to disenfranchise.
So every vote
so
that he
he'll
could
still-
pull.
he will still be on the ballot.
So he'll be on the ballot,
yes.
but think about it. He ended his campaign.
right. So he's not running.
But they're gonna put him on and not refuse to take him off.
Has he endorsed you?
He dropped out of the race, and his people are coming over to us. It's a little. He wasn't happy about having to drop out. Candidly, you're running. We come in, a couple months after him and just surge, and he had to drop out and did what he did, and he was getting pressures from people like Spadia and these other people to do the right thing.
Right.
He did the right thing, and his people have all come over, but he's a little, he's a little upset about it. Naturally, you're building for your dream, and then people just come in, and that's okay. Yeah.
But when you formally suspend a campaign and you are no longer an active candidate that's running, and you ask to be removed from the ballot, for them to turn around and say,
and still it's not, dude.
It's purposely to diffuse the vote.
Yeah.
Anything they can do to cheat the election, they will.
And that's going to be like he'll pick up 1%, but they're trying to game it out. Like, okay, Smith's down in the polls.
Right.
He's polling at 39%. He's weak. All right, Crispi's coming up. Okay, so if we put 1 point here and, try to do this, these people are
good
sick.
old boys club.
Yeah, and they've never been challenged like
Politics
this in their lives.
is an old white man's sport. It really is. And they don't want people like us there.
We're trying to become more, because I was always a guy, it was ingrained in me as a kid, vote for the presidential election, got to vote. I've been voting, was never ingrained in me to vote for your local elections. They're so much more important.
We're in a primary, right?
Way more important.
They affect you so much more because it's your own community. So we're trying to be more involved, which is why we have, candidates on. We had Ian Smith on.
Yeah.
We learned a little bit about redistricting and what a hot mess that is.
Terrible.
Yes.
It's
His district goes like this.
It doesn't make any
makes
sense
no
how
sense.
it works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
gerrymandering.
Yeah, gerrymandering.
There you go.
The Democrats, what they did with the gerrymandering here, for my sake, is they took all the Republican towns and they stuck it in District 4.
Right.
So they created like a super red district.
Right.
Okay, so we should have a super red congressman.
Right.
All right. It's not Chris Smith. He's the second most liberal Republican in the history of the U.S. House. Voted against the wall. Voted for amnesty.
The impeachment, right?
He voted for the January 6th witch hunt. He votes against guns. He hates guns. If it was up to him, nobody would own a gun. He voted for critical race theory. The guy is a sick individual.
What do you vote for Ukraine? How do you vote?
And he sent think about it, $40 billion. You can't get the baby formula.
Vets starving in our
You got
streets.
vets, 37,000 vets,
Insane.
homeless, and he sent $40 billion. But you know why they wanted to send $40 billion? This was the buildup. Everyone said, "Oh, Ukraine." At the beginning, we were all told to feel good about Ukraine, right? And people would tell me, "Oh, you can't say anything negative about Ukraine."
I will say this from the beginning: Crispi has been anti-Ukraine aid.
And guess what? And everyone and Republicans, the old guard. Oh, Mike, you got to stop criticizing Ukraine. People, they're veterans. They understand. Fast forward 2 months later, Tucker Carlson's now leading the charge on it, and people are speaking out saying, wait a minute. This went from us having sympathy about them getting invaded to, of course, it was predictable. Of course, what does that turn into? $40 billion. We don't know where the money's going. Correct. It's not traceable. Right. And Ukraine is a corrupt country. It was before Trump was the president. It was when Biden's the president.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we fell for it again as a country. It was
do we fall for it though? Do we really fall for it?
The masses do.
Yeah.
It's BLM, COVID, Ukraine, literally in that order. That's the chronological order.
Hey, and they're gonna come fucking roaring this summer, in the fall. All those three things, they're gonna come roaring. We're
gonna have the trifecta.
Yeah, they are. That's what they did in the 2020 summer.
Yes,
they're gonna be no different. This summer's gonna be no different.
Would you?
You heard it here first.
Consider yourself more of like a constitutionalist? Where does your passion, like for the, I'm a passionate guy about the Second Amendment, for example. I see that you are. Where does that come from? Did you grow up with guns? Did you grow up hunting?
Yeah, so my father was a director of Homeland Security in New York.
Okay.
He was an air marshal. He was a special agent, taught me obviously how to use guns at a young age. These lefties, these limp-wristed Republicans like Chris Smith. Oh, guns kill people. No, actually mentally ill people who take a trigger. Because it was up to them. They banned.
Not to laugh, but what happened in Buffalo is
terrible.
But that's a perfect example.
But we got a
mentally ill person that should have never been.
But they drove. Look at Waukesha. Okay, Waukesha. They drove a car. This mentally ill guy.
Car killed.
He killed a bunch of people and he mauled them in a car. So we can't ban cars.
Right.
We need to have law and order in the country. But that shall not be a reason to infringe on somebody's constitutional Second Amendment right. Because when they take away the Second Amendment, what they do is they allow to America to become more like Australia and Canada. Because you see Australia and Canada, people are opposing COVID lockdowns. You look at people like Ashley who don't want to wear a mask and a thing. You know what they do? They just come in and give you brute force. Yeah. Second Amendment is the only thing that keeps us free. So I'm a constitutionalist.
At bay at all. I used to say that to Frankie all the time. He'd be like, this guy thinks it's going to be. But now he's starting to realize, I think, listen, he
said he's a constitutionalist. He's never fucking read the Constitution. All right? That's the problem.
Hey, First Amendment, Second Amendment, right?
I know a few of them. I know the fourth. Is it, I mean, obviously that was an appealing point to me, but so your father was an air marshal, you said?
Yeah, air marshal, Homeland Security, mother, Federal Aviation Administration.
Oh, wow, okay.
Whole family was government, and I was the only one who went, into like private business. But then when I saw 2015, I went to a Trump rally, literally early on in his campaign. I was on a business trip at the time in Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay.
And he was having a rally on a Saturday. I was there on Friday. I stayed the extra day because I wanted to go. So I literally show up there, and there's 15,000 people. This guy just announced 15,000 people going crazy for this guy Trump, right? And I'm like, this is amazing. Like, this is like, you've never seen, Jeb Bush has like 20 people. Mitt Romney has like 100 people. But 10,000 people showed up for Trump that day, and they were going wild. So ever since that time, I've been a Trump guy, because then I turned on the television and they shit talk him on CNN. He's a racist, he's a homophobe, he's a xenophobe, he's a phobe, every phobe you can imagine. So they just destroy him. And I'm like, why is it like this? So that's when I started to get in the broadcast. I started podcasting, then I started reporting. Then I joined our Right Side Broadcasting Network, started going to the rallies, started actually bringing the news to people. We live stream it. We have 3 million people on the live stream.
Oh, wow.
Because you know why? Because all the mainstream media outlets just don't want to show it. Yeah. So it's like we don't do anything special. I literally talk to real people who are at the rally. I talk to politicians and actually air it unfiltered. And then we show the rally unfiltered. So, 3 million people tune into that because CNN, MSNBC, and even Fox now really don't want to show the Trump stuff. They don't want to show it. If it was up to them, if it was up to the NJGOP, if it was up to the person Ashley's running against who's super anti-Trump, Trump wouldn't have been a thing. They don't want it to be a thing because he hands power back to the people because he gets them to actually pay attention to what's going on locally.
Sure.
That's the Trump effect.
Sure. Yeah.
How'd you get into, you're a good speaker, you got good energy. What made you think about doing this?
Doing for Congress?
Well,
you got to be a little crazy to do this, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to be a little bit crazy to run for Congress. I'm a little crazy to start. No, but you know what it was? I would see it. I would go to these events. So I'd go to like Capitol Hill. I'd go to CPACs. I'd interview these people, the governors, the senators, the Congress people, Republicans, right? Because these are all Republican events. And I'm like, these people are not that impressive. They're not that smart. They seem like they're a little calculated in the way they're speaking. They seem like they're like listening to like poll data in their head. I can say this, but I can't say this, and I can say this. So it seemed very rehearsed. So I said, one day I'm going to run and do something about it because these people are noodles, right? They're like limp. And so I didn't know when the perfect time would be. But then when this all kind of got going, Trump called out Chris Smith by name in November. And then Roger Stone, the second, well, who's the best Roger I know? Either Roger here or Roger Stone. Two great Rogers. Roger Stone called me. He's like, "Oh, you should run against Smith." You know, he's like, "You're the perfect opposite of him, guys. You can kick his ass." So that's how it all started.
So when Trump called out Chris Smith, he was saying he needs to be replaced, pretty much.
He said
him to be primaried.
He said nothing.
He wanted him out.
He said a good statement. He said, putting America first starts with getting rid of the rhinos and the fake Republicans, right? You can't save the country from Democrats by just electing Republicans. You need to get rid of the McConnells. You need to get rid of the McCarthys. You need to get rid of the Crenshaws, all the ones who act, I'm a Republican. And then you look how they vote. They vote for a federal vaccine database. Right. They send the $40 billion to Ukraine. Right. You know, they capitulate to the Democrats when they cry about oh, we need new gun laws because, you know, this happened, and they give. So, you know, we need bold Republicans because the Democrats have no problem sticking together, but they always fragment the Republicans. And that's how they win. So we need strong Republicans, but a lot of them are bought and paid for and sold out and phony. And as Ashley would say, you know, just really old and entrenched.
You got the Roger Stone endorsement early. You just got General Flynn, correct?
Yeah, we got Roger Stone, we got General Flynn, we got Wendy Rogers, who Trump endorsed, who's the leader, the national leader on election integrity. She's incredible in Arizona, and we're gonna have a couple more endorsements coming. Got some conversations
you
coming.
Got fucking Champ and Tramps endorsement.
Yeah, so we got this is. I'm putting this on the website. All right,
this is the most important one.
And who knows? I mean, you know, this could be, you know, President Trump, you know, probably watches, you know, an episode or two of this.
Right.
Trump Jr. You know, they might be next. They might be next, and then we'll win, and then he'll find out that Ashley's running mate literally loves Liz Cheney, who's a super rhino. Ashley's running mate literally went to the national RNC meeting and protected. Sorry, Ashley's opponent. Yeah, not running mate. Sorry about that. Edit. Ashley's opponent went to the national RNC meeting and protected Liz Cheney.
No way.
Wow.
Yeah, because Ashley's opponent is not just a, you know, county commissioner, but also the RNC delegate for New Jersey. So all the Republicans are embarrassed in New Jersey because Ashley's opponent goes there and represents the Republican Party for New Jersey and then votes with Cheney against Trump.
So she's failing at more than one thing.
Wow.
Many things.
Yeah.
And most certainly never your running mate.
No, not ever.
No, she's terrible.
Trump, very good people.
Something
very good people.
We talk about often, Frankie and I, as dads. You know, we talk about a lot of dad stuff down here. Maybe to bring it back a little more local, a little more personally. How do we make changes in the school system, like with this critical race theory, with first graders being taught sexual orientation, and how do we? We're up against the teachers union, correct? And I mean, that's a tough one to win, right?
It's the teachers union, the NJEA.
Isn't there an opt-in, opt-out option now? Or am I crazy?
No, you're right.
There always has been,
okay.
But they try to tell teachers that they won't have advocacy, they won't have, you know, the benefit of the union if they opt out, which isn't really true. The bigger issue is that the teachers union, you know, they take dues from their members and they have a lot of money. So I think that during Murphy's election, the NJEA gave him like $4 million or something like that. Yeah. And it's not really that they're making the decision of what's happening in the school, but they are getting the person elected who's in control of that decision. Right. So what basically happens is, I can speak to this, but we're on the school board and we get something that comes from the state, and it basically says, here is a new policy, or here is a new learning standard or a new learning guideline, and it's mandatory. So you have to, you know, you have to vote yes on this policy. You have to, you know, put this in the curriculum. And it's kind of like, why do we get a vote? If it's mandatory and I'm not allowed to say no, why am I voting on it at all? Right. So I'll vote no to it. Everybody will get upset about it. You know, I'm the big bad wolf because, you know, myself and Lisa Contessa, who is on the school board with me, I think we voted down the health standards, and someone called and said, like, she's a bigot, she hates gays. Like, no, that's not what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't care if you're black, white, Asian, Muslim, Christian, gay, straight, LGBTQ, homosexual. I don't care what you are. We're here to protect the innocence of children.
I appreciate that.
All of those people that I just described, at age 5, they're all innocent children. Yeah. The only thing that separates innocent children from older adults as their age. So allow them to grow up.
Yeah.
I don't want you to talk about masturbating with any children.
Of course.
I don't care if they're.
I don't care if it's
I don't care
hetero,
if they're-
trans,
Does not matter.
homophobe, doesn't matter.
These kids don't need to learn about that.
And Ashley's one of the only ones on the school board who'll actually say it. You
that
know what I
crazy?
think?
Yeah.
You know, actually
I mean,
will say what they're doing.
Yes,
You know?
and everybody else is.
Well,
We can't. I was in a board meeting where I was told, "Don't say that. Please. There's children and families here,
Oh, but
so you can't say it in the board meeting,
was at
but
a
you
board-
want
yeah.
to teach
I
it."
was at a board
Talk
meeting.
about that, Frankie.
I was
Talk
at a
about
board
that.
meeting, and you were there.
Yes, I was there.
A woman came up and talked and started speaking of the curriculum, started reading the curriculum that they're going
yes.
to teach, and the head guy was like, "Whoa, let's
The
not,
board president at the time.
let's not be vulgar." And I screamed from the back. I'm like, "The fucking kids can hear it. You can hear
Yes,
it too.
yes.
Are you serious?"
It's exactly right.
You
It's
want to
insanity.
teach it to our kids, but we're not allowed to say it at a board meeting.
The reason behind all this is because this is how you systematically break down a great country. You got to do it from the inside out, right? No one's going to bomb the
Over-sexualizing
United
minors.
So, yeah,
States.
yes.
You destabilize the
Right,
nuclear
I know,
family.
Break
and
up the nuclear
yeah.
family.
I mean, it feels like they're trying to, like, our own government is trying to do us in from within. No, it
Yes.
doesn't. I
No,
mean, I
you're
understand
right.
that. Fuck that.
Yeah, you're not conspiratorial. It's funny, like, conspiracy. It's not conspiracy because nobody would be teaching little kids about anal sex, right? And these disgusting things and masturbating in the first grade, which is what Governor Murphy did. And he got so much pushback and he had to do something. First graders learning this stuff. Why would a first grader
My
need to
kids
do
in
that?
first grade.
The videos
Disgusting.
that were
It's
put out
disgusting.
on there's a site called Vimeo, and there are videos out there that are cartoon videos that are teaching kids about how it feels good to masturbate. And I have to tell you, my friend Lisa Contessa on the school board with me, her and I sat down, we watched this video because we were like, what's coming at us? Like, what do we have to be prepared for? So it showed a cartoon little girl and a cartoon little boy.
Who was that video sponsored by?
Great question.
I don't know who
I'd
created
be
it,
interested
but
to know that.
I think it might have been created by Vimeo.
Bill Gates.
I'm
Let's
not
go to their
sure.
house.
We have
Bill
to look
Gates.
at it.
Yeah, Bill Gates. Bill Gates too busy buying farmland.
You have
over
a
there.
video,
Yeah.
and there's a little girl, and she is looking at a mirror, and she's taking pictures of herself, and she's looking in the mirror, and she's going, "You are so pretty. I love you." So the female version of masturbation in this video that we're showing to children is looking at a photo of yourself and saying that you're so pretty and you love yourself.
What?
The little
What? I
boy
don't
cartoon, they show the family is downstairs and they're like looking up at the roof and they're hearing sounds upstairs. And the
What?
little boy is in his bed and he pulls up his covers and he gets a tissue and sticks the tissue under the covers and then he's like rolling his eyes. And I'm like, is this real life?
Are you kidding me?
It's disgusting.
Oh my
They're
God.
showing a little boy depicted as a cartoon who is legitimately in a bed masturbating.
Well, now Disney is
And-
coming out with
Yeah,
movies.
no,
with
Disney is
openly-
disgusting.
It's insane.
So there's no logical reason for this. We all grew up. None of us, we're all
No.
kind of different ages, kind of the same, but none of us learned this stuff. We all turned out fine,
Right.
right? No, we're not destabilized. Now the health secretary, Rachel Randy Levine. You guys know Rachel Randy Levine,
course, of
right? Half man, half woman. Rachel Randy Levine is a 4-star admiral. They're laughing at us. They're doing this, and it's like an FU to the people. Oh, you don't want your kids to learn sexualized stuff that they might need puberty blockers and
That's
want
what
to
I'm
change
saying,
them.
like, what
Let's just
the
make Rachel Randy Levine a 4-star admiral just to throw it in all of our face and everybody else's face. It's terrible.
Well, Candace Owens has a thing, and I'm sure she's not the only one. I've heard other people talk about it, but the importance of strong men and how when you can destabilize that, then you're really very malleable and very controllable. And it would seem that's what they're trying to do. I mean, we talk about it often. Like, what is the meaning of all this? Why is this going on? Why is this happening? And we're just two idiots down here in a basement. I mean, what is the reason? You think for destabilizing us as a nation and making us more controllable?
They want to break down America as we know it. Okay, they break down. I mean, it's no coincidence. The World Health Organization is gaining centralized control. The World
guy,
Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab. Wow, dude, very impressive. You did Klaus Schwab. Knowing Klaus Schwab
sounds
is
like fucking
You're like a
Darth Vader.
Yeah, but it's like most people. Everyone should go. Who's watching this should go look up who Klaus Schwab is. Right? right? Like people don't know.
See the one that said just you need one more booster shot.
He talks like that.
You just need 7 more
Eric,
boosters.
pretty soon you're not gonna be able to buy anything, and you're gonna be happy.
That's what he said.
You will own nothing. You will own nothing, and you will be.
They
happy.
call it the great. They say the Great Reset. So
yeah.
when Alex Jones used to say that, he's a crazy guy, right?
Yo,
but now he's
Alex
right.
Jones is a fucking prophet.
He's right about all this stuff.
Holy shit!
He's right.
You think he's crazy as fuck, but the shit he says comes to life.
You think he's crazy as fuck because he screams, but he really
Intergalactic demons.
He's kind of like
Intergalactic
he's
space
kind of like
travelers.
he's kind of like the Simpsons, man. He's predicting a lot of
He's
shit.
predicting it. So like why? So back to your question, like why would they do this?
Right.
So you take kids, you make them confused. You take parents, they're focusing on this stuff, right? They're fighting each other in the school board locally. The kids are confused. They don't know what gender they want to be. You think a boy is going to grow up to be a strong man, learning that stuff? You think a woman is going to grow up to be a great mother,
nurturer.
And a
We're not
nurturer
allowed
and
to
raise
use
her
the word
children?
mother. We have
you
to
can't
use
say
the
a
word
birthing person. So you do
What is
that.
that?
So you do that, and then you take a country and you make it, you say, weaker from within. And that way they're able to implement their ideology, and they're able to confuse you, and they're able to, as you said, you own nothing, you're happy, you work for the government, you're living off the handouts. And then we turn into Europe, and we don't want to be like Europe. We want to be like America.
So it's big government.
But look at the way that it's
New
being
World Order.
pushed. Have you seen Adidas has a commercial out, and part of the commercial, I don't know how you have had to have seen this, Frankie. I don't know.
I
if
have
you've seen it.
where that's okay.
Where it's like, oh, to be this, to be
Yeah.
a transgender female
yeah.
athlete, like
It's
no,
ridiculous.
that's not okay.
It's not normal.
It's not, bro. If you're like literally, if this keeps going down this path, you say goodbye to women's sports.
Yeah.
No.
Legitimately,
Just say goodbye to
Legitimately.
There's nothing about equality in that because
mean, look at
you're
what is her
robbing
name?
women of scholarships.
What's-
And like,
Leah
yo,
his,
Thomas?
you mean what's his name?
The swimmer.
His name,
Yeah, Leah Thomas.
Yeah, Leah Thomas.
He's got a dick.
He's got a
You know what I
dick.
mean? He's got a
Yes.
dick, and he takes it out and fucking in the locker room. He fucks girls still.
What?
Yes.
No.
How do you know
he's,
that?
he's attracted to women still.
I didn't know that word.
Yes, I've read it. I read up on
my
Leah.
God.
And where?
I follow her on Facebook.
You guys are DMing each other, were you?
No,
You're
for real.
DMing.
For real, this is what I've heard, that Leah Thompson is attracted to women.
I would like to know
And
the girl.
she's got a dick, and it's out. It's out in the locker room.
Yeah, listen. What people do behind closed doors.
No, that's not behind closed doors.
What
If your daughter's on a swim team?
No. My point was going to be more bring it back to like biological. Like she has an unfair advantage that is ridiculous, where she's ruining female sports, ruining it. And
Legitimately, yes.
if you're about equality, which is supposed to be right, well, it's supposed
Well,
to be
like Title
what
IX. Remember
it's
what
not-
Title IX did for women's sports? Like Title IX, wrestlers always hate Title IX because like if you're gonna, I just lost it. But if you're gonna cut a program.
Well,
We lost.
It's my
headphones.
I think.
Oh, you might. There's a splitter right there.
Plug it back in.
All right.
You just lost our endorsement, Crispi.
So just skip right over Crispi, but still Ashley Lamb, column A.
You're
Paging Frankie Edgar to the podcast.
Beautiful.
So where was I?
You were talking about Title IX
Title IX with wrestlers.
and why wrestlers hate it.
See, I'm listening. I earned your endorsement back.
Perfect. You did. So like Title IX, it pretty much, you like women's basketball was a good with. You have to have a counterpart. You know what I mean? It's like football. They would never get rid of football because there's no counterpart to football. Football brings in all the money. So like women's sports and with Title IX, women's sports grew so much. Wrestling usually gets hit up because there's no counterpart to women. They're starting to be now. But
Yeah,
anyway,
there's women wrestling.
What I'm
right?
saying is they made this Title IX. They made it huge leaps and bounds for women's sports. And now they're doing this shit. It's like pretty much pissing all over that.
I mean, what if you grew your hair out like kind of long and then you got like a, tank top and then tried to fight me? Do you think I could beat you?
Yeah, no.
I don't know. Ashley's pretty tough.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
I mean,
But yeah, no. I mean, there's actually a
Yes,
transgender.
I'm
Yeah.
aware.
broke
broke two
woman.
women's skulls.
I
Right.
saw
Why-
that.
Why are we
Yeah.
allowing it?
Yeah, it's fucking wild.
I mean, these let's call them what they are. They're male athletes.
yeah,
And they're going to be breaking every women's record ever made.
Right.
It's not. We don't.
Yeah.
We're physically, biologically, we're not as tough. We're not as strong. Our muscle bellies are not the same size.
That's sexist.
We're not.
But I mean, I
but your
think,
bones aren't as dense. Your skulls aren't as big.
Right.
Here's someone who actually agrees with us and was a star athlete. Bruce Jenner turned Caitlyn Jenner agrees.
Right.
So it is completely unfair.
Right.
I mean, if that is not
She cut her dick off though. Like
Right,
that's
but I'm
that's a
saying-
full commitment. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, like compared to Leah Thompson,
Right.
You know,
Okay, but she's not an athlete anymore. When he was an athlete, he was the pinnacle. I mean, he won gold.
Decathlon.
You know what I mean?
Yes. So he competed
he's the
as a
pinnacle of the
male,
sport, is what I'm
and
saying.
I'm sure for much
In
of his
what
life,
sport?
he probably felt the way he feels now.
Triathlon. Or I'm sorry,
Swimming.
decathlon. I'm sorry.
No. Bruce was decathlon. Leah Thompson.
But regardless, now he's made the transition. Yet he still agrees because I'm sure his history in sports that it is completely and totally unfair.
And he said, you know what he said? I'm
Or
the only
she,
one that.
I'm sorry.
Well, you know what she said?
What?
I'm the only one that have the balls to say this stuff. She did.
She's running, actually, isn't she?
That's
She
really
is.
funny.
It was
She did,
running.
she
Yeah.
did.
Ran for
Governor.
California governor in the
Yeah,
recall, and then that was like the Republicans didn't even come close. Think about it, like California, how bad California is. Gas is
Think of it,
$7,
all
and they got
they all
destroyed.
left. If there was any Republicans there, they fucking
They
left,
went to
right?
Arizona.
Yeah, they
went to Arizona. Yeah, they're all going to Arizona right now. And but the Republicans weren't even close in the recall election. Newsom won.
That's crazy, though,
60.
man.
He
That
won like
means they
65%.
fucking want
Wait,
what they got.
did he
So like
win?
they deserve what they got.
Did he
deserve
win?
it.
65. I'm
Well,
like,
Bro, they didn't.
Watch
People
2000
didn't even.
His-
people
his-
didn't even come. And not for that one. I think they won.
but it's
Right? Or no?
which one? What, the California recall?
California.
But the California recall wasn't even it's incredible how it was allegedly a blowout.
Yeah.
You know, but you don't know what to think anymore. With this
Okay,
election.
so what about Chitterelli? You think that was legitimate? You think he legitimately was beat, and why wasn't there an audit?
So I'll tell you this, Chitterelli, and I'll be very honest about it. Chitterelli should have fought. He
should have
didn't
fought.
fight.
No, I was
He
disappointed
didn't
then.
fight because he's not a Republican like us.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I thought Chitterelli in the general election, I thought it was great. You got to have a
I
Republican.
did too.
You'd rather have him than Murphy. Sure. And people around the country were like, oh, Jack Chitterelli, all this. Actually, Republicans have never. Jack Chitterelli almost won. Historically, Republicans have never lost when a Democrat is up for a re-election like the last 50 years. So statistically, right?
Yeah, that's
So statistically
true. That's
speaking,
true.
statistically speaking, Jack should have won.
He should have won.
and he should have won like Glenn Youngkin won
Well,
in our
very
in
close, right?
Virginia.
It
Very,
was
very,
very close,
Yeah.
and it was
Yeah.
kind of one of those middle of the night things.
right.
I will
Yeah,
say
well,
that.
Yeah, but you had 10,000 votes in Hudson County that got flipped accidentally
1 o'clock
back
in
and
the
forth.
morning.
Essex got flipped too.
Yeah, one of them said, I remember watching it. It was Essex, Sussex.
Yes.
One of them, 100% of the votes in, and
Yes.
he won 100% of the vote.
Yes, and then
that
flipped.
means done
over.
can
That
come
means
in
you're done
after.
counting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then in the morning.
But he didn't fight. But he so
But
and,
yeah,
fight.
I will tell you this. When you look at Jack Chitterelli and you look at his election account and you look at Murphy's election account, at the end of the day, when you're going to fight somebody, whoever has the most money wins.
Ian Smith brought that up. We keep saying Ian Smith because he was just in here
Yeah.
a few weeks ago. He said if an
Jack had
election
more money,
an election
he
is
would've
fair, all the candidates, all the possible electors should be giving the same amount of money to run their campaign. That would make it fair.
that would make it
That would
fair.
make it fair.
That would.
That makes sense.
I mean, I'll tell you this. Our opponents are censoring us at every corner. They're limiting the Republican clubs that we can access. They are limiting our
As soon as
our
it's-
ability to
So it's
speak.
almost infighting because
Yes.
you're running
The
against
RNC,
Yes.
the RNC is sending in money. The RNC is so upset about what we're doing that they think about the National Party
Wait,
is
so
sending
they're-
in money to
Yes.
defeat me against Smith, and that obviously
But like,
that was
but
initiated
what
by
does
an
that-
RNC.
But what does that tell us?
Well, it tells us that they don't want new Republicans. It tells
I
us they
know,
don't want
but
America First Republicans.
Yeah, that's what
That
I'm saying.
tells
Like,
us that we have to get out the vote with people like us. We have to encourage people to pay attention, to vote in local elections, vote in the primary.
You're seeing it. We're seeing it more
Show
and more, right?
up June 7th.
Like
Vote.
I call us like a normal person because you're a normal
Yes.
person, right?
Yeah.
You're running. Like who's the guy that beat the Sweeney?
Ed Durr.
Durr.
Right.
I
Yeah.
met
That's a
him
normal
recently.
person.
Hold it off.
Kind of like
Amazing.
Ian
Nowhere.
Smith. Ian Smith's
I'll tell
doing
you
it.
what,
I'm
Ed
sure there's other
Durr-
people around the country doing the same.
Ed Durr is already campaigning because he knows he's got to raise money because he knows they are coming for him.
Yeah, they'll
He's
come for him.
already on the offensive, and he was just sworn in.
Chitterelli could. I know he had less money, but he could have done something. But Chitterelli is not a Trump Republican. He's a never Trumper.
Never Trumper,
And
not pro 2A.
Yeah. So he's
He's
a
not pro 2A.
no.
I saw
So
it.
you got to learn these things about these
Yeah.
people.
I saw Ed is though. Ed's doing
Ed
something.
is.
He's
Yes.
doing something
Ed
right
is
now.
amazing.
I'll tell you something about Chitterelli.
Yep.
Look at what Chitterelli in the
Well,
last.
your guy over at 101.5 couldn't stand Chitterelli, right?
Listen, I say, my
Spadia,
guy
Spadia, right?
Spadia should run for governor.
Yeah,
next.
yeah.
He-
Spadia
he's
should
the
run
guy who
governor.
should run for
He
governor.
should, he
But
should.
but here's the thing: Spadia pointed out it's very true. Why did Glenn Youngkin win in Virginia? Right? Why did Jack Chitterelli lose? Virginia and New Jersey are very similar states with the electorate and demographics. The reason was because Glenn Youngkin latched onto issues that were controversial, but he knew in his mind that were right and that people would care about. That was parents' rights.
Yeah.
That was everything that Ashley deals with at the school boards, right? It was masks. It was vaccines. It was sexual health. It was CRT.
And he did fight for me to get back in when they booted me out.
But publicly, he didn't. He and Spadia documents this a lot. He didn't call it out as fervently as he should have.
No.
And Youngkin was all over it.
Right.
And Chitterelli, there were things that he didn't want to say because his pollster said, don't say this, don't say that, play it safe. You got to be bold.
Right.
People in today's electorate want bold.
I mean, how the fuck did they not know that after Trump blew the lid off that?
Right.
He was bold. That's what got him in.
These people have been in
care.
for so long that they think that they transcend the Trump factor. You know, think about it. The person, so like Ginny Haynes, the person that Ashley's running against,
She's
has been in
terrible.
for 40 years. Chris Smith's been in for 40 years. So like Trump is to them is like just a blip. To us, it's like, oh, this is the new Republican Party. To them, oh, we've been doing this and we were here before Trump and we'll be here after Trump. This is how these people think. They're egomaniacs because they're in their echo chamber, right? And anybody else who wants to talk out against them, they just banish them from their Republican events, right? You see how the problem creates itself?
Of course.
So let me pose a question to you. If you were to randomly meet a regular woman out somewhere and she said to you, I'm pregnant and I'm going to give birth to a little baby kitty and I'm going to have a kitten. What would you say to that person?
What do you
I would probably just say I would say good luck with that and then
Like,
roll my eyes and
you'd
walk
be
away
like, they
and
need
tell everybody
some
she's crazy.
Mental health
Yeah,
issues, right?
yeah.
So
I would say, well, do you know how your baby's gonna like its meat? I would say, do you know how? And, she's like, oh, I'd say rare.
So let me just tell you what's
Was
going
this a
on
plan?
locally. No, because I
guys
think
talk before
my point is when we talk about what's going on in our schools and we talk about critical race theory, we talk about diversity and inclusion, and we talk about the LGBTQ health standards, and we talk about all of the things that we are trying to shove down the throats of our innocent minors who do not belong learning this. We kind of say, like, where does it end? So with boys, girls, no gender non-binary, boys bathroom, girls bathroom, but this boy uses the girls
there's no
bathroom.
end.
So let me just tell you, we have something called a furry. Do you know what a furry is?
I do, actually. My kid, there's a kid.
We have children in our school
Yes.
buildings that
They're on my
identify
kid's
as
bus. They're
animals.
on my kid's bus.
Wait.
So if a woman told you that she was going to give birth to an animal, you would have her committed because that child would be endangered.
Wait, I don't understand this.
So there's children that are in our school buildings and they don't identify as children. They identify as cats, dogs, birds.
My kids, my son wore, all his friends wanted to wear, or teammates or whatever, like pajama pants. They look like Christmas pants. And my wife had to go and bring him sweatpants. So they're not allowed to wear pajama pants. I was like, they're fucking pants that are plaid. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're plaid fucking pants. But yet there's kids that could wear dog collars and bark at my kid.
Kids, but this happens?
This
Yes,
is a thing.
yes.
There
Kids
are
wear dog collars in
there are
Thomas River schools?
children,
Yeah, and bark
not
and bark
in
at
all
kids.
schools.
Who are their parents?
All
Yeah.
schools across the country have children in attendance in their school buildings who identify as animals. And some of those children are coming forward and saying, well, we might want to use a litter box instead of the bathroom.
Like, at some point we have to be like, yo,
You're there to learn.
this is not.
But the counter argument is always the same. You're a bigot. You're a racist.
Right, but-
you're
but if
anti-gay. It's
but if-
always the
No,
same
because
argument.
you know where it's going.
You're
You know where all
anti-animal.
this is going. It's going to the point where like, oh, I identify as a 10-year-old, so I'm allowed to sleep with little 10-year-old boys or
But
10-year-old
that's the
girls.
point.
That's
Where
where it's.
does
Well,
that-
they
where
first of all,
does it end?
the media normalize. You should see mainstream media people
Start normalizing
normalizing
pedophilia,
pedophilia,
Saying,
and they want
oh,
to make
oh,
excuses. It's been in the New York Times.
Yeah.
They'll write articles
Yeah.
defending
Yeah.
people in
it's a sickness. No, you should be removed from this earth. That's how I feel.
Didn't California just like lower the I guess the
Consent?
punishment for if you're convicted?
What is one normal reason to do that
Right.
besides to embolden pedophiles? Right.
It's sickening.
Pedophiles should be shot.
And it
But they
starts
lower
in our
the
school
crime.
buildings. It's starting right in our school buildings. We're allowed, like I said, if a woman was to say that, you would say she's mentally insane. But if a child comes in and says, "Oh, I'm a cat," well, we have to. Everybody respect this child's feelings that they're a cat.
It's a safe
Safe
space.
space, right? I mean, where do we end it?
No,
where do we draw the line?
it ends with a
boy's allowed
destabilized
to
country.
feel like a girl. A girl's allowed to feel like a boy. Fine, I'll subscribe to that. is your daughter who identifies as a cat going to the lunchroom and sitting with their friends and eating French fries, or are they eating cat food out of a bowl on the floor?
No,
I can't believe this is
no
a thing.
consistency. His
Exactly.
kid can't wear pajama
pants.
pants,
Yeah.
but that child can go dress up as a cat and meow all day, and that's okay. There's no consistency there.
Crazy.
You know,
It's out of control.
I didn't even know about this.
It's out of control.
This
A
is-
furry. A furry is a thing.
That's what they call
I
them.
just learned this recently. I
Who
didn't
are these
even
people's
know.
parents? Their parents, their parents just go, no, this is really weird. You're just going to be a boy or you're going to be a girl. Like, who are these kids?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know.
you're not going to be a dog.
Yeah, I don't get it. Like, remember was Step Brothers like, I used to think I was a dinosaur, and someone told me I couldn't be a dinosaur. You could still be a dinosaur. Like, no, motherfucker, you can't be a dinosaur.
You're not a
You
dinosaur.
know?
It's like all the
I used to chase the neighborhood kids.
all like the tomboys would have been transgenders in
Yes.
today's day.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a tomboy. Oh, you like sports.
Yeah.
You should be a transgender.
Oh, you ride dirt bikes and
do
climb
you
trees?
want hormones to
Here's
make
some
you have a
beauty
hairy
bloggers.
beard? You know what I mean?
Rachel Randy Levine, before it was the health secretary, was talking in Pennsylvania about puberty blockers for 14-year-olds,
Yes,
saying that the
that's
Pennsylvania government needs to fund it, and they need to go through a decision where they need to decide if they want to do it, because they could pause their puberty and then decide later on what they want to do. Is that normal? Is
No.
pausing the puberty normal?
No.
That's going to destroy a kid forever.
yeah.
But this is what she says. This is what Rachel Randy says.
Hormonal issues, infertility.
And then they put Rachel Randy in a high position, and they're laughing at us. Every politician, I'm telling you, every politician should blatantly and plainly call this out at every level. That's how it ends. But they don't want to do that.
no. Foreign countries, you mean, are laughing at us for our leadership. Yeah.
Yeah, they're laughing.
Why does 14 seem to be the magic age? Because there was something recently where 14-year-olds were able to opt in to get the vax, right?
Yeah,
That was-
self-elect vaccines.
Why is 14 the magic age? It seems to be the magic age for everything. You just mentioned 14.
I just see
for-
someone. I mean, someone say actually she's a transgender. Was that you ever said Blair White or Blair?
Yeah.
And she's like, I think she said on Twitter like, if someone if you're too young enough to consent for sex, how can you consent for a sex change? You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, like they say you're the human brain, the man's brain too, it doesn't develop to like 25 years
Right.
old.
I would say so.
Well, I
Fully
mean,
developed.
Mine's still working. Mine's still getting there.
and the other issue with that is that in school buildings across at least New Jersey, this is the New Jersey state law. If a student comes into school and says, you know what, I don't want to be Jake anymore, I want to be Jane, all of the administrators and teachers in that school need to respect that child's wishes and must call that child by their new female identity, and they're not allowed to inform the parents.
Oh.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We're not allowed to tell
But that
the
would
parents.
be-
Like, well,
but
there's
that would
going
be
to be a kid. There's
policy, right? Obviously, policy never trumps law. The kids don't have to do that, right? That's the policy
No.
of the administration?
If a child came in and decided one day that they
They
don't
wanted to,
feel
yeah.
like, if you were like, I don't feel like Roger today, I feel like Rachel today.
Right. Does the teacher then tell all the kids you must address
They have
Roger
to
as
respect the
question.
child's wishes and call them by the name they want to be called by.
You're going to tell me there's not going to be some kid that's a wise ass. Like, oh, I'm Rachel today. Oh, sorry, I'm Shelly. I'm back to Bob.
How are they actually going to learn
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
with all this crazy shit going on? And I don't have kids in schools. And if I did, it'd be I would have, like I said, I'd
They'd
be
be
in jail.
homeschooled.
They'd be homeschooled. They'd be going to private school or something. But a lot of people get mad in New Jersey, understandably so, because they pay all this tax money. Right. 70% of the money goes towards the schools, and then this is what it pays for.
Yeah.
So a lot of people say, "Well, take your kids out of public school," and that is the answer. You need, in order to get the public school changed, you need to defund them, and that comes with
Well,
taking
the
kids
funding
out.
should follow the
But-
child.
Correct.
It shouldn't just go to the public school.
Correct. And if they're going to do it right in Congress, you need to abolish the Department of Education. Because if you abolish the Department of Education, then they can't hand down these curriculum. And then, because there's no constitutional authority for a Department of Education to exist, but it somehow exists. And then they hand down the lesson plans, and then obedient school board members, people unlike Ashley, because Ashley makes her own decisions, but obedient school board members implement it, and it's all centralized from Washington, right? That's not how it was designed to be. It's supposed to be local. So until we can abolish the Department of Education and take dollars, universal school choice, where dollars follow the kids, it should be like a business, right? Where there's all these schools, and then you, with your dollars, determine where you want to spend it and what school you want to go to. It's just like going out to eat, right? You're going to go to this restaurant, it sucks. No one's going to go there, it's going to go out of business. Let the school that sucks go out of business.
Correct.
All right? But they don't want to do that because the NJEA, who are, thugs, and they really are. They're thugs. They strong arm. They pack the school board meetings. They create a scene. They make school board members uncomfortable that want to speak out. They'll then say, Oh no, you're racist, right? Ashley, oh you're racist. You're racist, Roger, for saying you can opt out of the NJEA, right? It's racism. That's what they say. I was at the meeting. They get up and they say the school board members who are talking against critical race theory are racist. Yeah. That's the playbook, and they're going to run with it because a lot of people, including some Republicans, are going to feel bad and they're going to want a virtue signal. And they're going to say, we condemn this. We condemn this. No. We need to be strong. And we need to say, no. It's not racism. You're insane. Done.
Those words have been so overused and overplayed. I don't know that I would even be offended now if I was called one. Where maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I would have been like, oh my God, they call me a racist. Like, I know I'm not, but I'm like, what do I do? How do I change their mind? I don't care now. I know what I am. You call me whatever the fuck you want.
It's really offensive to like real racism because, there is real racism out there. Right. So like me getting called a racist because I went to a school board meeting and spoke up in defense of two school board members who were pushing back against the CRT and that stuff. I was called a racist. So I'm not a racist. Actually, that's offensive and waters down real racism. It really does. So you're the racist. Right. Turn it back on them.
It's because there really is no good counter argument. That's their argument is you're racist.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's just the easy way out. So, all right, who is it? The teachers union doing Phil Murphy's bidding or vice versa?
Ooh.
Well, the teachers union gives money to his campaign to endorse him and help him get elected, and then he appoints people to, the Department of Education in Trenton.
But is he like saying, okay, you guys gave me all this money, now I need to, kind of return a favor and give you what you want?
That's what politics is.
Right, pretty much.
Really
Except for people like us, but in most politics, they take tons of money.
Well, I mean, look at the FBI investigation that's ongoing in Ocean County right now.
Oh.
Jobs for kickbacks. You have the same people in power that have been in power for 30, 40 years. And
potentially, because I've read about it, and Frankie and I have discussed it, but there's not a lot of clarity on it. There's not a lot of information on it.
It's an ongoing investigation that started, I think, fairly recently because they subpoenaed documents and...
Someone must have been a whistleblower and said there's some shady shit going on here.
I would assume so, but if you look at what's going on in Ocean Gate as well, I think that maybe it's kind of a trickle-down situation where the Ocean Gate mayor was stealing... Well, he stole change. He stole change out of the parking meters.
Well, no, that was the guy at the one who kicked me out of the Lacey Club was the quarter thief, right?
Oh,
well, the mayor.
So the mayor of Ocean Gate, he is under investigation.
Fucking rough, bro. Rough.
People are stealing quarters.
He was stealing money from the township.
Losers. He
was selling township furniture on a Facebook page and keeping the money. He was taking the. I don't know. He said he likes to say the quarter thief.
Quarter thief. this fucking loser is trying to kick me out of a club. Like, bro, you steal quarters. Like, you're a loser.
That wasn't him, but
I've seen that. I saw that guy at the arcade.
Get out of here, dude.
I was wondering why I always saw him at the arcade.
So the revenue from the parking meters, the Ocean Gate mayor was not putting into the county account. I guess he was stealing that as well. So I think it started there, and I don't know what's going on if they're investigating that and it's unearthing other things.
Yeah.
But what Mike Crispi is trying to talk about is that the auditor for that town is Holman, Frenia, and Allison. So Frank Holman is the GOP county chairman.
Yeah.
He runs the county GOP. It's his accounting firm, and one of the partners was the person that audited Ocean Gate, who booted him out of the meeting.
Right.
And coincidentally, they're also the firm that the Toms River Regional School District uses to audit our budget.
This stuff's happened all over the country. That's it's so broken.
When I asked recently,
who would ever know this if we didn't have
we had a school board committee meetings recently, and those are not, the public can't attend them, but they're live streamed. Yeah. So on the live stream,
because of COVID?
No. Just because they're in a small conference room. Okay. So we live stream them so people can watch them and people can call in and participate. Yep. But they're not a public meeting where we sit in an auditorium with people there. So we go through all the reports. We go through the budget. We go through the buildings and grounds. We check in on the $147 million referendum that we have going on. We check on all this stuff, and we talk about it, and the public can call in and they can ask questions about all these things. So it's curriculum, it's buildings and grounds, and it's the budget. So those are the three main ones we talk about. Occasionally we talk about policy. We get updates.
Do you get a lot of interaction from the public with the virtual stuff?
We get a decent amount.
Should be more, right?
If there's certain things that are on the agenda, they call in because those discussions are not public comment. They're just about agenda items only. So if there's something on the agenda that has to do with the health standards, you better believe the phone rings all night.
Gotcha.
Sometimes there is something about buildings and grounds. We have the referendum going on where we're we're dealing with a lot of asbestos in a lot of the school buildings. So we've gotten a lot of calls on that because there's teachers that are aware that it's happening. There's signs everywhere for safety. There's parents that are calling about it. So when there's like a hot button item on it, we do get interaction.
Gotcha.
Sometimes we don't get a single phone call. But at this last one, we were talking about appointing of professionals. So the board interviews attorneys, they interview engineers, they interview people, and we appoint people to do different jobs in the district. So I had brought up, maybe we should look at our audit. We should look at the accounting firm that we use because it's the same firm that just missed what was going on in Ocean Gate.
Let me guess, that wasn't well received.
It was not well received. So we had brought it up early on. Lisa and I said, we want to look at all these professionals because all these professionals were appointed before Lisa and I were on the board. We didn't get to vet a lot of them. We got to vet the board attorney that we have right now, who is doing a great job. But we had said, we want to change it. And the answer that we got was, well, we tend to go with one firm and then we keep them for a little while, a couple of years, and then we move on to another one and then we'll go back to the other one because there's really not many. And it's kind of like, we just kind of keep them for a few years and then we've got like one more year with this firm. And we were like, well, why can't we just change them out? And at that point, it was before any of this news had hit. So at the last meeting, our BA had said, and this is all public. You can go watch the stream and see the conversation transpire. So our board, our business administrator said, so we'd like to get on the next agenda some of the professional appointments that we're not interviewing for. So the people that we were happy with, like we have a phenomenal workman's comp attorney that we love. He does a great job. He really interacts with the board well. So the whole board was like, we love this guy. We want to keep him. So we're not going to interview for the position. We're just going to keep him because he's doing an excellent job. So they want to get it on the next agenda to get him in and get it rolling. So I said, can we go back to that accounting situation in light of recent events?
The
What's
quarter
going
thief.
on? I mean, it's in the news every single day. You're seeing mayor of Ocean Gate stole quarters out of the parking meter.
Sold a lot of quarters.
Sold furniture, sold whatever. So now they're talking about the fact that this man's not only the mayor of Ocean Gate, he's also a county employee with Buildings and Grounds. And he was sending county employees to his home, allegedly, innocent until proven guilty. He was sending county employees from Buildings and Grounds Department to his home to do yard work on the county dime.
Wow.
You're paying for it. You're paying for it. I'm paying for it. He's paying for it.
It is so ridiculous.
I mean, you have a landscaper come to your house. You got to pay him out of your pocket.
Sure.
Well, nope. This guy's getting his yard work all on the taxpayer dime.
This is what these people do.
And like I said, innocent until proven guilty. He's under investigation, but there have been county employees that have come forward and said, oh yeah, I was sent to their house to do work and I went there and I worked on this date. And neighbors that said, oh, I saw county trucks outside. They're doing landscaping, whatever they were doing. I couldn't tell you exactly, but he has a county job, gets a salary there, probably will get a pension there. He's the mayor in Ocean Gate. He's stealing from the town. He's sending county employees to his house to do work. Then the GOP county chair, Frank Holman, his accounting firm is doing the audit in that town, and everything looks good here.
Yeah, nothing to see here.
So, I mean, you wonder why the FBI is investigating Ocean County.
So what was the outcome of asking for that audit? How did that?
So they basically told me that we had already agreed to appoint these people for this year, and that if we wanted to appoint a new person for the next year, we could look into doing that. But we have to keep this firm for this upcoming year.
But it doesn't mean you can't still do an audit, right? You can still.
Well, we the school board has an audit every year, and they present the audit, and it's a public thing, and we have a hearing, and they show everything and make sure that all of our books are in line.
Gotcha.
So it's just I wanted to change the firm that's doing it because they are the same firm that just missed all the theft that was going on over there.
Quarter thieves.
The quarter thieves, right. So, I mean, my inclination would be like if my friend goes to a doctor and has a horrible experience, I'm not going to that doctor. If my friend goes and gets their haircut and they come home all chopped up, I ain't going to that barber. So if the neighboring town has all this theft going on and the accountant is missing it and I'm looking down going, damn, that's our accountant.
Yeah, and those are our tax dollars.
I'd
right?
like a new one.
$40 billion in our tax dollars. The money getting stolen out of the quarter machine, right? That's it's all our tax dollars, right? That's where it's all going. And Congress is wasting millions of dollars doing January 6th witch hunt. They're wasting money on teaching the sex ed curriculum. It's just so terrible, right? The country's spiraling, and all these people we're talking about have been doing this again for 40 years since the early 80s.
Tom's River, as you know, we all just got audited. All of our taxes just went up. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And it's like Tom's River sits there and they boast that they didn't raise taxes, but look at they just passed a new ordinance that if you want to sell your home, you have to get a CO inspection just to sell your home. And, the question is, well, why are we doing that? Well, we're doing it because we want to protect home buyers from, buying a home that's a lemon. Isn't that what the home inspection's for?
Yeah, what?
Yeah.
You hire a home inspector, you get the inspection, you have all the info, and you make the decision. Is this house worth it to me, or is it
it's
not
like
worth it?
it's a hidden tax.
So it's a hidden
Yeah.
tax. I think it's $400 for the first inspection, and if you fail, which I'm sure you will at least once,
course.
They
it's
want
like
more money.
$175 for a reinspect. So now we're hiring all these inspectors to come on and
county
and,
jobs, making
right,
money.
So more jobs, more
What a scam.
taxes.
I tell you something related to that. So this infrastructure bill that President Trump blew up about, right? It was 89% not for infrastructure. Chris Smith voted for it, right? He did it, his kickback to the Green New Deal lobby, which he supports and is supported by. But in that bill, it funded all of these speed trap cameras, okay? So the Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, right? The gay mayor of Indiana, his only qualification ever was that he was a
Say it
gay
again.
mayor of a town.
Say his name again.
Pete Buttigieg.
Say it one more time.
Why am I not saying it right?
No, you are.
What? Pete Buttigieg. So he gets up there and he goes, "We want to have zero car fatalities in America. Let's imagine a world where there are zero car fatalities." And everyone's like, "Dude, just shut up," right? But he says it seriously. People buy into it. That's why we are having these new cameras, because we're going to have everybody go the right speed. So, because speeding death accounts for 90% of car fatalities, and we're going to imagine a world where we have no car deaths, so that your tax
That
dollars.
guy clearly is not from New Jersey.
So no, so you're
you got to do 90 at least to keep up.
Just to be safe.
So your tax dollars are going towards these speed trap cameras that Chris Smith voted for in that infrastructure bill, and that's where the money's going. What are they going to do with that money? So we pay for it. We pay for the cameras with our tax dollars, and now we're going to all get checks in the mail for the speeding that we do that we don't even know is happening. We just get it in the mail, and it's the hidden tax.
Yeah.
So they're going to collect millions of more dollars from us, and they're going to laugh at us in the process.
How can we tax the people without telling the people it's a tax?
Yeah.
Is that infrastructure bill was part of that bill where bridges and roads were racist, right?
No. Actually, the best part, and I always say this on the campaign trail, in that bill. So I did a show on it when I was podcasting myself, and I was talking about the infrastructure bill. It was well before I was a candidate, and that bill had things in it. If you read the bill, right? Nobody in Congress reads the bill, but the first thing in that bill, hundreds of millions of dollars for something called tree equity. Ashley's heard the summer speech a couple times. Tree equity. What's tree equity? Tree equity is the government assessing and managing a process where they determine where they need to plant government-funded trees in spaces that are more equitable and inclusive. So we need to plant an equal amount of trees in this neighborhood and an equal amount of trees in this inner city and more inner city trees in here, so it is less racist. It's called tree equity. Wow. They made up this term called tree equity. Hundreds of millions of dollars. And then Chris Smith brags they got $30 million for some beach cleanup. But literally hundreds of millions of dollars for tree equity, hundreds of millions of dollars to study truck emissions at our ports of entry. Why do you think there are truck emissions? Maybe because all the trucks are sitting there because we have a supply chain disaster. Can't get baby formula. All the baby formula that's here is going to the southern border for the illegal immigrants, right? Because that's what they were saying. All the baby formula was going to the border because we're housing all the people trying to cross. So all the baby formula is going there. We have a supply chain catastrophe. And the government says, no, let's not spend money on it. No. Let's study why there's truck emissions. Let's imagine a greener world. Boom, infrastructure bill. Okay? All this money, the electric vehicles, a kill switch in your cars. You know, every car now has to have the kill switch. This is Chris Smith.
Talked about
this
that.
is a 42-year Republican congressman being one of only several Republicans who voted yes for this. If you're voting yes for that, you're voting for the Green New Deal. The Green New Deal is the other piece of them fundamentally changing America because it's a wealth transfer, right? So they want to destabilize your children, ruin the nuclear family, have kids unsure, they grow up more timid, more mentally unstable, quite frankly, right? Now they say that the incidence of people saying they're gender confused was like, it used to be 1 in like 20, now it's like 1 in like 10, right? So it's like up. And then with the wealth transfer, they encourage it. Now with the wealth transfer, with the Green New Deal, that is all this money going to these initiatives and them taking it, and you own less and make less, and the fuel costs more, but you're being more green because we're not going to drill, and that's good. They don't want people making money.
Yeah. It's insane. The average person has no idea what is buried in those massive infrastructure
They
bills.
don't,
They have no clue.
No, the average person knows nothing. That's
Literally
the problem.
That is the
That's
problem.
the fucking problem. Because
But it's that person that's paying for it.
I'm not down that. We're
No, our
paying.
taxes.
We're paying
That's
for
what
it.
I'm saying.
We're paying for
You
it.
have no clue what's in those huge infrastructure bills or the Green New Deal. There's so much stuff
But I'm
buried in
saying
there
people don't know shit. I didn't know shit until
because we're
2 years
trying to pay attention.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Well, I mean, and you think about it like this: people, even locally, you would think you know what's going on in your own backyard, but you don't.
No.
So,
yeah.
so Crispi is running for Congress. I'm running for commissioner. I have a running mate, Sergio Fossa. He's a pastor at a local church. He's running with me. We met because he was fighting the mask issue with schools, and we all kind of got together and decided this is a good ticket. Let's run together. So Sergio has 4 children. He and his wife Tammy, they live in Toms River. He is at a baseball game for one of his children about a week ago, maybe a week and a half ago. And someone walks up to him and says, "Oh, do you have a problem with homeless people?" Because one of our issues, so we have a couple of campaign issues.
This he lives in Toms River.
He lives in Toms River. So we're running on a couple of things. We're running on issues that affect local people. So election integrity, these jobs for kickbacks, corruption, all that, everything that's going on at the county right now that you're seeing in the news. The county-backed homeless shelter. The taxes. The tax base is up $45 million. It's insane. But the homeless shelter, this is an important one because people don't realize this is a local issue that is affected nationally. We live in a country where we have a Democratic president who refuses to secure that southern border. They are busing illegal immigrants all over this
flying
country.
them in,
Flying
them into
busing
Westchester
them in,
Airport. Yeah,
all over the place. And we live in a state where Phil Murphy, as liberal as the day is long, believes in, first of all, he made us a sanctuary state, so law enforcement can't even question somebody about their immigration status. They're not allowed to. And we live in a state where we have bail reform, where you can commit crime and walk the same day.
Absolutely.
So when you have an unsecure border and you have a liberal idiot running your state, and you put a homeless shelter that's funded by taxpayer dollars right in the middle of your county, what do you think it's going to be full of?
they're gonna come in and just mooch off the system and never leave.
Criminals,
Yeah.
illegal immigrants, sex offenders, drug addicts. People
Where's
recently
our
released from
homeless
jail.
shelter? Where's our homeless shelter?
Where
We
is
don't
it?
have one
Where,
yet.
Where's it supposed to
We're
be,
fighting
Ashley?
it.
Where do they want to put it?
Well, I saw a survey on Shore News Network the other day.
Where do they want to put it?
They want to put it in Lakewood.
No way.
That's what they said on the survey.
That is-
but
Oh my
no,
That is-
right now the site that I
Oh,
have
they're
heard
gonna
that they're
fight
looking
against
at.
that, right?
Lakewood is not going to let that happen.
Hell no.
No.
Lakewood, they will take up arms and not let it
No.
happen.
My opponent wants to put it in the property adjacent to Ocean County College, right in the middle of Toms River.
No
Get outta here.
way.
So if you don't want that, you need to get out
Wait,
and
what
vote on June
property
7th.
adjacent to Ocean County College?
There's property back there. There's acres of land apparently
okay, nothing
near
that's
the
clear.
college.
Yeah. There
which,
is.
think about it.
Can you imagine?
Ocean County College houses the Performing Arts Academy. That is a high school. You have 13-year-old students there.
And to say that you're overreacting, we say, this isn't going to happen.
let-
Look at New York City.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I'm from. You guys, I mean, you're going there tomorrow, right? You're going to see a city. You go around. You could always have a barometer of how we're doing with crime and illegal immigration, people kind of living off the system. Go around right around Penn Station and see if it smells like urine.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because it's just terrible.
At the end of the day,
It's just the cities are crumbling.
I used to work for a 501c3 and I helped people with housing insecurity. I helped homeless people. I helped people that were victims of Hurricane Sandy. I helped people navigate FEMA. I have a very good understanding of how the state works, how federal funding works, how grant money works, how you can get people placed and open cases for people. And
Right.
I can tell you that there are so many organizations that help people. When you have victims of
Right.
domestic violence, you have young mothers who are dealing with housing insecurity, the right people who deserve help will absolutely get it.
Yeah.
We don't need to build a homeless shelter that they, by the way, want to regionalize, which means that we would build it with our tax dollars and then we would give up the right to control it. So they would be just busing people in, shipping people in from all over the
That's no
state
good.
to put.
Yeah, and one thing feeds another. So Smith votes for expanded amnesty. He votes against the southern border wall funding. He votes for DACA, right? All these processes that incentivize the human trafficking, right? Because the big problem with the border is not just the fact that they're coming in, but it's the fact that young women are being raped and abused along the way because coyotes and smugglers. I have a friend who goes there. Her name is Savannah Hernandez. She's on Tucker the other day, and she went down there. She's the only media person who reported it. You got women's underwear. You got condoms. It's a disgusting scene because people, to come to the country. They're sending their kid, right? Because they're in Mexico or whatever. They want a new life. They want to send the kid in so then they can come in the country. But it creates a terrible situation where the parent has to make a decision. I'm going to let my child get trafficked in, get sexually assaulted, right? Come into the country. And then the parent will come into the country, and then they'll go to the homeless shelter and they'll do this stuff, and it just is a mess. So what you got to do is just close the border, right? Just have an immigration process,
a moratorium.
You just got to go to the southern border and say it's closed. Why is that so controversial? It's like it's
extremely
just closed,
controversial,
dude.
but there is no nation in the world that doesn't have a border. Every nation does.
You ever try to get into Canada?
Right.
You can't get
Those
into
people
a country.
are nuts.
My mother and my stepfather.
Nobody wants to go to Canada.
moved to Mexico. They moved to Mexico. They actually lived in Mexico like the last 4 or 5 years.
They're there now?
They just moved back.
Wow.
But they lived down there. They just wanted to get away. They love traveling. They went down there. They rented a house. In
Where?
Like
What part?
Lake Chapala, like central Mexico,
Okay.
biggest lake in Mexico, up in the mountain region. But anyway, the hoops and jumps that they had to go through to move to Mexico were insane. You know what I mean? Like the whole paperwork process. You had to move, like I think it was like 80% of your funds or something to a Mexican bank. It was insane.
Yeah, they're not playing around.
What they had to go to, but we get open door
come
policy
here-
over here.
Why is the USA the only country where it's like this?
That's insane.
Why globally do they condemn the United States? Oh, the United States is.
And if you don't want to be that way, you're a racist.
I'm a racist.
Well,
I'm
like
a racist.
AOC would say, they're asylees. They're looking for a better life. Well, if that's true,
how many people that were looking for a better life had to do it the correct way?
Right,
and
correct.
fought to
Yeah.
be here.
right, there is a process.
And
There's
had
a
to become
process.
citizens.
And they all, and it's disingenuous because they know there's the cartel smuggling. They know they're the coyotes. They know about all this, but they say what they say because they're trying to emotionally manipulate the masses on television.
Right.
Oh, this is bad. Republicans not wanting open borders is inhumane.
Right.
That's where they beat us. They use these humanitarian arguments, right, with the guns. Whenever a shooting happens, and again, the Buffalo thing was terrible. Terrible.
Yeah. Biden's there
Right,
now.
but he didn't go to Waukesha.
Correct.
So Waukesha, you had a guy maul down dozens of people in a car, kill them, paralyze them, hospitalize them. He didn't go there. Right. But he's going to Buffalo to exploit it. And what I don't like about the Democrats and the limp-wristed Republicans is that they play into the emotionally exploitation game. Oh, we're going to emotionally exploit the situation. They don't care about the victims of gun violence. They want to exploit it so they can take guns away, so they can usher in more government control and take away our safeguards from defending ourselves. That's it.
Correct.
That's it.
Yep.
It's not conspiratorial. It's real now. We literally see it.
Guns are never explained properly why they're part of our Constitution. They're never explained like that. They go the hunting route. You don't need an AR-15. And they exploit all these shootings, which are horrendous and tragic and horrible. But they're there as the last line of defense against tyranny, which I think it should be becoming more and more abundantly clear that may be a real thing someday. I hope not in my lifetime. I hope not in my kids' lifetime. But it could be a possibility. Look what they're doing in Australia. They took their guns away.
That's it.
Now, if you don't wear a mask or you don't get vaccinated,
Put you in a camp.
They put you in a camp.
They have COVID camps in Australia.
Come try to put me in a camp.
Put me in a camp. But it's like this is the things that people would like. A couple of years ago, they laughed at us.
Right.
Like, you guys are loony.
Can't put you in.
You guys are loony. There's no such thing as they're not going to put you in camps.
Right.
Australia, they built barracks.
Yes.
And they'll bus you off to a camp if you don't comply with the COVID rules.
It's insane.
And they're doing that right now. And in China, there's relocking down, doing all this. So as you said earlier, Frankie, that's what they're going to do in America when election season ramps up.
course.
Fauci's getting back on TV. He took a lull. He was off the air. Now all of a sudden he's back on the air every day.
Fuck that guy.
I hate him.
Yeah.
I hate him. He needs to go to. He needs to be persecuted.
Yeah.
He needs to go before Congress. If I get elected, there needs to be an investigation open into him. He needs to sit in front of Congress. He needs to re-explain the fact that he lied about the gain of function research, which literally led to the creation of COVID. Okay?
Lied under oath.
He lied under oath. So Roger Stone, right, the other great Roger, they said, oh, he lied under oath when he was testifying. Really? First of all, there was no Russia collusion. It was all debunked as fake. And so they said he lied about something related to something that wasn't even real. And then they sent 30 FBI agents to go arrest him and hassle him his whole life. Fauci lied about the gain of function. Rand Paul called out. There's literally paper documentation. And he expects us to believe his denial. He needs to go there, stand trial. The Congress needs to get answers from him. Absolutely. And then it needs to be deferred to the DOJ, and he needs to be persecuted because COVID would not have happened if Fauci was not experimenting, doing all these sick, perverse, God complex things, right? Where he's manipulating the cells and doing all this in these laboratories and funding this research in Wuhan. It's sick. He did it all. It's all because of him, and that's why he covered it up so much.
The most outrage I saw from the left towards Fauci was when that revelation was about that he tested on dogs. That was the only thing that pissed them off.
That was
the only thing.
First of all,
mad.
what kind of sick bastard do you have to be to do it on dogs?
Bro, they
that
said
just shows you what kind of person
he
he is.
let dogs live for like 100 days getting tortured.
Yeah,
100 days.
weren't their heads
That was
getting
the
eaten by
only-
bugs?
That was the only time that side was like, oh, that's enough. Didn't care what he did to humans, though.
But wait, nobody cares about all these aborted babies.
Exactly.
But if you hurt a dog,
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. It's insane.
I mean,
my body, my choice.
Right.
When we're talking about abortion,
Not with
not
COVID.
with vaccines,
Not with
and
COVID.
not with masks.
Do you know they're trying to make a vaccine database right now? Nobody talks about it except Tucker Carlson and Bill Spadia.
No.
It's Bill HR 550. I talk about it on the campaign trail, and like 40 Republicans voted yes on it.
Yeah.
Nobody talked about it. It gave $400 million for them to create a digital infrastructure to track your vaccination history. And the sponsor of the bill, who's a Democrat from New Hampshire, said this is amazing because it's going to allow us as the government to remind the people of when they're due for their shots.
Sure,
this is great. You don't have to think for yourself. We're going to remind you of when you're due for it, and then you have the usual suspects defending it.
From the live free or die state. How crazy is that?
And the live free or die state.
New
That's
Hampshire.
good. I'd say there's a lot of civic knowledge on this show. You guys know a lot. The Klaus Schwab, this and that. But so Chris Smith voted for that, right? Outrageous. And then Crenshaw, who at the beginning, everyone, people are like, oh, Dan Crenshaw's a good guy. Rhino.
I thought he was too. I thought he was.
He's a World Economic Forum.
subscribe to the
he
hype.
he is a red flag law gun guy, wants to do that, and he voted for the vaccine database and was the #1 defender of it. And anybody who spoke out against it, which are all the Republicans we like, he's like, oh, they're grifters, they're fake. Really, I don't want any dollar going to any type of database to track anything related to my medical. Okay, period. You don't have to explain it away. Well, this was already here and it's giving more money because it's secure for the transfer of information. No, nothing. But they try to explain it away.
Still
so
America.
Crenshaw, look into him. He's no good. Trump, in the rally that Trump had in Texas a couple months ago, he called out all the politicians. Who didn't he call out at that rally that was there? Crenshaw. He knows.
Yeah.
He knows.
Yeah.
Rhino.
Crazy.
So tell us, all right, June 7th, where can everybody vote for you?
Wherever you would normally vote for your presidential election, it's the same exact place. You just go to your polling place, and as long as you are an affiliated Republican, or if you are unaffiliated, you can affiliate that day. But if you're an independent or if you're a Democrat and you want to party jump, the deadline has already passed.
Pretty simple, though, right, folks? There's 2 columns. You want the America First column.
Column
A.
A. Column
If you're
A.
not registered to vote, I think, what's the deadline?
I think it passed.
Was it?
I think it was today.
Was it?
I think it's today, the
It might
17th.
be- oh, tomorrow's the 17th.
What's today?
The
16th?
16th.
Yeah, it's tomorrow. So if
Tomorrow.
get on it.
You can register tomorrow if you're not registered yet. But June 7th,
I will
column
be
A,
there.
America First Republicans, Mike Crispi,
We're-
Ashley
we're
Lamb,
gonna- we're gonna-
Sergio Fossa.
Yeah, we're gonna have some rallies. We're gonna have some events.
Yes.
We're gonna bring some people in.
There's some parties
we're gonna
going
do some.
on.
We're gonna have some parties, some events. It's a low turnout election because there's no presidential, there's no Senate. So the will of the people can be felt through really just a couple thousand votes. A couple thousand votes for Ashley. A couple thousand, a little more than a couple thousand. But for me, it's not that much, and you could literally change this very quickly.
Yeah.
Yes. It's just more about everyday people like us getting the word out and spreading the news because, like I said, we talk about censorship in the media. The censorship that is happening locally for these people to stay in their seats. 42 years for Chris Smith.
40 years for Ginny.
Jack Kelly and Ginny Haynes have been there for. These people have been in office longer than we've been.
The moral of the podcast is vote in your primaries, right? You want to vote in your general for Republican versus Democrat.
Vote in every
just
single
as
election.
important to vote in a primary.
I've definitely learned that. I was an
Yeah,
independent.
you want to pick who's your horse in a race, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
and people don't do it, so the party controls it, and then we go, we're going to support the Republican. We're going to support the Jack Ciattarelli, right? We should be able to pick our Republican. And
Exactly.
the difference in the primaries, again, Smith and I are night and day, right? Night and day, but we're both Republicans. So people, if anybody's watching the show all over the country, all over the world, you vote. You got a worldwide audience, right?
Of course.
So you vote. You vote in your primary, right? Unless you're in North Korea, then you'll have one choice, and you're watching the show.
I was an independent my whole life until 2016. I wanted to be able to vote in the primaries, and I registered as a Republican because of that
Congratulations.
reason alone.
No, that's great.
That.
Yeah.
And I always voted conservative anyway, but my thinking was, open-minded. Maybe
You're like,
somebody
I don't
has
want to be in either
It's
club.
not like that anymore. It's not
Yeah.
like that anymore. You
No.
got to pick a side now and stick your stake in the sand. And
I mean, I will tell you this:
know?
the woman that I'm running against has no education. I have education from 2 different trade schools. I have a college degree from Philadelphia University. I own a business. I have life experience. This woman's never held a real job. She's been in politics her whole life. She has lived off the taxpayer dime. She does not have a husband. She does not have a child. She's not vested in this community. She's pro-choice. She's a Republican that's not pro-life. I mean, I am pro-life. I'm a small business owner. I'm educated. I have a family. Who do you think is going to make better decisions for you?
Yeah.
Like, you do not see her. When you look at that woman, I don't identify anything with her.
so she has no children. You do.
I do not have children.
don't have
I am
children.
married, and I hopefully will have
Yeah, there you
children.
go.
I have a
There you
niece
go.
and a nephew
There you go.
that live in Toms River that are in the school district.
Sure.
And I don't want, my niece is going to be 3 next month. I don't want her going to kindergarten learning these disgusting things.
Yeah, no way.
I
You
guess
know?
maybe in my head I thought maybe that was your driving force or your catalyst for getting involved. What was your motivation?
I initially got involved because my best friend Lisa, she ran for school board, and she ran a great race. She had a great campaign, and she did not win her first year. And I was so involved in her campaign, and I was so passionate about, she stands for the right thing. She's great for the kids. Like, we have to do this. It's the best thing. And I got so just like became like a junkie about her campaign and just getting her votes. I'm like, this is awesome. So the next year, there was 3 seats up on the school board, and she was like, I want to put together a ticket, and I want you to be on it because you were so, you're by my side, active in my campaign, and you were just getting me votes everywhere.
It's a
and
lot
you're
of
so
work to do this
passionate,
stuff,
and you're
yeah.
informed, and you're intelligent. I'm like, oh my God, tell me more. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So, she flattered me to death into being on her ticket. I'm like, yeah, I definitely want to do this. And then when we got involved in the school board, we kind of looked at each other, and people said, do you regret doing it because of everything you're dealing with? And I said, on one hand, I would love to say that I regret doing this because it is a commitment. You do go to a lot of meetings. You give up a lot of your free time, and you are fighting the good fight, and it is a thankless job. People do not... They don't get your back. They don't stand up for you. They talk about you on Facebook, and they think that you care, but I don't care. Like, I'm here to keep the kids safe. That's my number one job, and I don't really care what some idiot in his mom's basement is writing about me on Facebook.
Yeah, everyone's
so
an
then I got
armchair
in, and I said,
quarterback.
I would love to say I regret it, but I would hate to think what would happen if I wasn't sitting in this seat being strong, saying, no, I'm voting no to this. You're not doing that. I'm not okay with that, because somebody else would just be like rubber stamping it all the way through. Yes, yes, yes. So, my husband ran for council in Toms River. He won the primary in June. He won the general in November. He was sworn in January. We were flying high on that election. Like, we won, great. And I was looking at what was going on at the county level. I was looking at their reorg meeting. I was looking at the behavior of some of the incumbents who were up for reelection. And, I looked at my husband and I said, oh my God, like, do you believe what's going on? Like, somebody needs to knock that witch off her broomstick. Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, I think you should do it. Yeah. So here we are.
Right.
June 7th, column A.
All the way.
Let's go.
Mike, we don't have much time left. Is there any, before the primary, is there any way to get a debate? Is there any way to make that happen? I mean, people would love to see that happen.
I mean, we've asked Smith, we've asked
Sweet.
Haynes and
We're asking
Kelly.
all these people.
Nobody will
The
answer
debate
us.
would be amazing. I mean, he knows he would get his ass kicked, right? I mean, he knows it. That's why he's not saying anything about
The
it.
reason
I
that
think
they
if
won't
Trump,
do
I think
it-
if Trump comes out, he'll have to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that Trump does. Trump likes to make these last minute endorsements. All this.
Sure.
I hope he does it. Whether he endorses or he doesn't endorse, I think we're going to win. I obviously would love his support in the race, but that would force Smith's hand to address it and do it.
Would that be like a town hall type of?
I would hope. I'd say let it be a state hall. Let the whole entire world come watch it. I want it to be on national television.
Sure.
He would get killed, and it would give light to the fact that people who are career politicians, like I said at the beginning, you learn to talk to them. They're not that smart. They're not that impressive.
The reason that
people
they
need to
the
take
reason
over.
they don't want to debate, because we've asked Haynes and Kelly, they don't answer us. We've asked Smith, they don't answer Mike. The reason that they don't want to debate is because they want to keep the attention off of the fact that they're being challenged.
Yeah.
So if they debate us, it's like saying, yeah, someone's running against me, and they don't want
Debate should be
the
mandatory.
voters to know.
It should be like legally mandatory.
Not only that, he has like name association, right? Chris Smith. People have heard of it. They've heard of it
they've
for
heard
the
of
last.
him.
So you hear that name, you're like, oh, this guy's been in there forever. It's like name association. I had to do a little digging on you, and I liked everything I saw. But if people don't do a little digging, they're not going to see that.
People need to know.
Yeah.
And they won't. They don't want to talk about us. They don't want to answer us because they don't want people to
we
know that
we got to
we're
get
here.
the word out on our own. And obviously, if there's a debate and he gets his ass kicked, that just like that's super good. But we're gonna we hit the streets. We knock on doors.
What's
we go to
next?
so many events.
What's next
It's
for you
just
guys?
it's just like wild.
So
like
next, we
so
have,
many events.
we're gonna be in Manchester for their Republican Club meeting tomorrow night, which is Tuesday. I have a school board meeting, and the commissioner meeting is Wednesday.
Got a big
of
2A
this week.
thing on Monmouth County.
Yep.
Yeah.
2A thing in Monmouth
Yeah,
County.
big 2A, NJ2AS,
We have,
and the America First Republicans.
This Friday in Brick at the VFW, we have a showing of 2,000 Mules that's taking place there. So if you haven't seen it, you should come by. It's a really, really good film. Dinesh D'Souza. We have that Friday.
Election fraud rally there.
Yeah, the election fraud rally. We have some. Crispi's going to do something.
I'm gonna do
exciting
I
there.
have a big surprise.
It's
at
a
the
big
election
surprise.
fraud
It's
rally.
going to be exciting. We're gonna shoot it and then.
Don't no
post
hints.
it.
Big
So-
surprise.
All right.
Big surprise.
Yeah.
We want to be able to show everyone what it is after the fact.
That's what, Friday?
That's
Yeah,
Friday.
Friday.
Night. I think it's 7 p.m. Friday night,
Something
7
like
p.m.
that. Friday at 6.
Right, it's on our Facebook page. It's on our site, our Instagrams. It's VFW in Brick, 2,000 Mules. Saturday, we will be canvassing neighborhoods in the morning. In the afternoon, we will be at the Guilford Park Yacht Club is having their kegs and corks or corks and kegs.
Ooh, Frankie, man.
So we'll be there.
Isn't there a thing that night? Isn't there a thing that night for us?
Nice.
Yes, and
Sunset
then,
party.
Right
that
across from
night
there,
we
yeah.
have a Patriots Sunset Sips party at a private residence in
I
Ortley.
like your
so
strategy.
Here you
Involve
go.
a little drinking in there.
a
I
little
like
bit.
that.
Sunset
I like
Sips,
that. That's how
kegs
you-
and corks.
Conservatives will come out for that.
Yeah.
So it's just nonstop, 3-4 events a day, and then knocking and this.
Yeah.
It's not easy to take these people on, but somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
No, hey, thank God someone is.
Yes. Yep.
All right, my last
We're-
question for you guys.
Yes.
2024, if DeSantis and Trump
Ooh.
runs, who gets your endorsement?
I'll put it this way. I know from I think being close to this stuff a little bit. I don't think that DeSantis is going to run in 2024.
I think that
If they did, hypothetically.
I think that
Okay, hypothetically, if they do, if they both run, you got to go with Trump because
You gotta.
DeSantis can be the governor in Florida,
Yes.
and then Trump can be the president again. He did it once. He knows where they screwed him over. Let him reclaim it. He's going to be stronger this time. He's not going to let these people steal it from him again. Let him do it. And then DeSantis is 42 years old. He's a star.
Yeah.
He'll be the president the next cycle.
I like
Let him be
that.
the president the next
I
cycle.
think
your
that
answer.
it's imperative that DeSantis stays in Florida and holds that state down. It's an important state. He's doing really good work there.
Yes.
I mean, he's beating the crap out of Disney.
Honestly,
Like-
it's like going to another country in
Disney-
your own country.
I love Miami. Yeah, it's-
Disney,
Florida.
Disney was
It's
acting
like when COVID
yeah.
was
It was
going
like-
on. It's
yeah,
like-
I was
it's
going
like
down
you
to
didn't-
Miami,
You
and
didn't
it
have
was-
to leave the
No.
country to go
Fine.
to another country.
No,
You know
it
what I
was
mean?
great.
amazing.
It was great. And honestly, DeSantis is coming out and he's punching everyone in the face.
He is.
And
He is.
Disney was
Yeah,
acting
he's
like the
not playing.
Vatican with their own government.
They
and,
were.
And now.
And again,
the
things
kibosh
that
on
you
that.
don't know was going on.
Exactly.
Who knew that was going on? I
Yeah,
had
all the
no-
tax money.
They didn't pay any taxes. They ran
Insane.
their own police force. They,
Right. Yeah.
Who knew? Did you know that? Until that happened, I had
did
no
know
clue.
That.
No.
I
You
did know that.
Wow.
Yes, but I mean, you look at a man like DeSantis and the fact that he's willing to punch Disney in the face.
Yeah.
Take balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Take
man
balls.
is a future president.
Yes.
And I can't wait for it.
Agreed.
right.
Well, guys, thank you so
Thank you
much.
for
You have
having
to
us.
you have
Yeah,
to sign
sign
our
our
board.
board.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's,
Yeah.
that's part of the
And,
Tramp and the Tramp experience.
And where can everybody follow you on social media, websites, anything like that? Like to share?
MikeCrispi.com, Twitter, MikeCrispiNJ, Instagram, Red White Truth. That was the name of the podcast back in the day. I haven't changed that name yet. And Facebook, Mike Crispi. And Ashley?
My Instagram is at gop.ashley. My running mate, Sergio Fossa, he is at Sergio Fossa Feet to the Fire because he also has a podcast called Feet to the Fire. It's local. We have a Facebook page, America First Republicans for Ocean County.
That's a good one.
We have a website. It's americafirstrepublicans.com, but it's America1STRepublicans.com. You can go there and make donations to our campaign funds if you'd like. There are links there, so please do that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, is there any?
No.
I think that's it.
Come
That's a
see us
lot.
on the trail.
You can find
Yes.
us everywhere.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah,
So
thanks for having me.
your website obviously will say your next. Where you gave us
Yes.
the
Yeah.
week's run out, but after
Yes.
that,
Yeah.
okay.
The
All right.
the Facebook is a really good place because it's live updates of
Yeah.
all the flyers are popping up. You can screenshot
I like
it.
Twitter. I've become ever since Elon Musk bought Twitter, I've
Yes.
gone wild on Twitter. And I feel like I
Didn't
get
go
way
through.
more
It didn't go
engagement.
through yet though.
What?
It didn't go
Didn't
through
go
yet.
through, but I feel like something
it doesn't
happened.
take control
I
for
heard
like
they
6
locked they did something with the algorithm code where they like stopped letting people change it. since this all happened. I don't know. I heard that, and that's why like engagement is going up now on conservative Twitter. Like my engagement's never been higher on Twitter.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so I think something happened where they did something where I think they locked the source code, so they're not allowing the engineers to mess with it anymore because I guess this sale is pending. So there's been a huge difference so far on Twitter.
I have a Twitter, but I don't use it.
You gotta start using Twitter.
I
Ashley.
used to use it. I only have time for one, so I use Instagram now. But I did hear that,
I like Instagram.
which may make me go back to Twitter because I heard that algorithm is like locked now, and people's numbers that were like frozen are now going up. And people that were, like Biden, for example, his numbers are plummeting.
Instagram actually, which is owned by Facebook, shadow bans. Like Instagram, I got 30,000 followers, and then I'll see like I post something. 2,000 people will see it.
Oh, this interview is going to get about 8 views.
Great.
Yeah, well, he's going to say, "Oh, Republicans,"
It's scary like that.
It is crazy, but anyway, guys.
All right.
Thank
so
you
much
for having
appreciate
us.
you.
Yeah, thank you. This is great.
We have our support here at Champion the Tramp. So thank you guys for coming in.
All right, the best endorsement. There you go.
That's all you need.